I'm Njeri Cooper, and we have Sandeep here, and we're here today with Gina. Is it Garisto?
Yes, Gina
All right,
Person.
we're here with Gina Garisto. Gina, could you tell me who you are, what you do? If I don't know who you are, can you just explain to people who might not know who you are, what you do?
I am a currently a business and sales consultant for my company, Modern Business Solutions of PA LLC. I have a 40-year career in advertising, marketing, sales, um, retail ownership, and I recently retired from my uh, career in IT sales in December of 24. And during this past year, 2025, I wanted to still contribute and help people grow their businesses. So I decided to open the company. And I was led to the MBA program
Mm,
because I wanted an insurance policy that I was doing it right and setting it up properly and doing the right things right now and not waste years of frustration and money, um, making mistakes that I could avoid if I was just educated a little bit better about how to do it.
absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. So, can you tell me more about what that experience is like what made you want to be that that business consultant? Like, did you notice that there were gaps in the industry for people with small businesses or individuals who wanted to, become business operators?
Well, in my career, I've always helped businesses with strategy, planning, and sales. And in my last position in IT sales, I worked with resellers. I was working for a distributor of IT products. And all of the resellers I worked with, and I think over the course of the 21 years, I dealt with about 1,000 different businesses. And in order for them to help their customers and win business, um, they would talk with me about the challenges that they were going through. How do I structure this deal? um, where do I need to be in pricing in order to win the business? So I worked with these people one-on-one and discovered that I was giving business consulting services and sales consulting services already. um, so when I retired from that, the need for that has not gone away. And rather than not do anything and just retire and sit in a rocking chair, I knew I could help people. So it was a natural evolution that I would take what I had already been doing and opening up my own business and helping who I wanted to help. Um, and that's what led me to take the MBA program, is to just sharpen my tools.
Absolutely. So, let's say that I need some consulting. Right now, Sandeep and I are doing the MBA Founder Podcast, which is something that came to be after we already were in the program. After we met each other, we decided to do this podcast. But individually, we do have our own things that we're working on. So I'm building Subvent. It's a grant SaaS. Sandeep can speak to what he's building, but it's a SaaS platform for the real estate industry. Uh, if you were going to consult me or both of us, what would be the initial steps? Like, what is intake like? What questions would you have for us? What do you feel like we should be doing as founders?
Well, before I would get into what I would do for you,
Mhm.
I would discover what you need. Where are you going? What's your end goal here? Who do you want to help? Um, and we would outline a plan to get you there. Okay, so step one, this is where you are, this is where you want to go. And then I would fact find and discover the steps and work with you on how to get there. I wouldn't do it for you. I would empower you to do it. And if you needed some help, I would help. But my goal is to teach business owners how to solve their problems and get to where they want to go. And then if we want to work on, the next project, I'm free to do that with you because you've solved the bottleneck or the problem that's keeping you where you are. So the first step would be, what are you doing? Bottlenecks, what's stopping you? Where do you want to go? And then we develop a plan.
Okay, so hypothetically, because I don't feel that I'm in this place right now based upon the things that I'm doing and the traction experiments that I just had, what would you say for a founder that has a hard time selling? So I spoke with a founder earlier this week, and they've had a bottleneck with, that outreach piece that you and I were talking about before we hopped on the live. You were saying like the cold outreach, contacting people you don't know, maybe even networking in person with people that you may not have had an opportunity to meet before or have that warm introduction. How would you go about coaching a founder to build a network of people that may not only be their customers, but maybe their partners on some ventures that they have in the future?
Well, the fear of cold calling grips everyone,
Yeah.
even 30 to 40-year sales veterans.
Mm-hmm.
It's and then it's called call avoidance. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, but I know I have to. And so that's real and it affects everybody. So if you feel that kind of resistance and fear in your heart, then know that it's not just you. So that also comes from a place of, I don't want to appear like I'm selling something. I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to come across as a slimy salesperson, and that's real too, because we've all had experiences of people who've tried to sell us something that we didn't want, and we were trying to be nice but still get rid of them. Like, I don't want to be rude, but I really am not interested. But when we're out there doing that, we don't want people doing that to us.
Yeah, that
So
pain of rejection.
yeah, and it's real. It's real. And I still, after 40 years, have those same feelings. So you have to kind of look at sales in a different manner. You are not selling something. You are a problem solver. Your potential customers, have a problem or many problems, and you are there to solve them, to make them feel comfortable, and give them the ability to move forward in their business or whatever it is in their life. So you have to look at yourself differently, not as a salesperson, but as a problem solver. And your goal is to help the customer see the problem if they don't know, or see deeper into the problem that they do know, whatever, and find ways to help them solve that problem. Now, yeah, you're going to get rejected, but the person who hears you and whatever message you're sending, it resonates with them. They're going to want to have a longer conversation with you. And sometimes, and very much often, it's an old metric, is that sometimes you got to make 100 phone calls in order to get the one yes. So 100 no's to one yes. And as long as you look at the no as being one step closer to the yes and don't give up, then you're going to have it easier because your mind is in the right place. You're not bothering people. Yeah, you're interrupting maybe their day. You're making them stop what they're doing at that moment, but you're not bothering people if you have a good product that actually solves problems. And you're honest and you have integrity, and your goal is to solve the problem with this. But making sure that this is actually solving the problem and you're not selling it just to make quota and commission.
Okay. So what's one tip other than, making sure that the problem actually solves the people's pain points? If I am riddled with fear of hopping on the phone, because now this like strikes a personal tone. For my tracking experiment, I skipped the cold calling section. Like, I did not call random people. Like, that wasn't something I wanted to do. I did cold outreach on LinkedIn. However, I did I have a premium account. I don't have the Sales Navigator. So I was able to do, I think with premium you can do 200 a week, but I went way under that. I did like 20 a week just because I didn't want my account to get flagged. But if I'm riddled with fear of picking up the phone and dialing random numbers that I get off of these scrapers or whatever I'm using, what's one piece of advice you'd give me if I wanted to call 3 people after we got off this live stream? What should I do? What should I tell myself before I pick up that phone and make that? Like, how could I ease that anxiety? Is there a mantra? Is there like a just belief to take into it? Like, I'm not bothering them. I'm not bothering them. What I have to say matters. Like, what is that one thing?
Well, first you need to prepare what you're going to say. First, not necessarily a script, but what are you going to say to get them on the phone and keep them on the phone? And so if you're prepared with your message, then that's a lot of fear that goes away. You're not, winging it. What is your purpose of the call? What's the outcome that you want? Do I want an appointment? Do I want the ability to call them back? Do I want the ability to email them? What is it that I want out of the phone call? And the non-threatening way is the ability to say, I would like to send you a follow-up email and let you know of what I'm doing and why I think reaching out to you is appropriate. That puts the person not on the defensive, because they're going to be defensive when they pick up the phone. They realize it's not, their best friend or someone that they know. So they're going to automatically get there. So your job is to make them feel comfortable that they have nothing to fear by talking to you. But, make it short and at least get permission to email them a follow-up. Second is a lot of people don't answer the phone. So you get voicemail. So have your message to leave a voicemail ready. And don't ask them to call you back. Well, you can ask them to call you back, but don't expect them to call you back. Then you just say, I'll follow up with an email. So you're sort of alerting them that you're sending an email for more information. And that's non-threatening too. So the mantra that you should have is, I'm prepared for a voicemail or conversation. I'm prepared with my follow-up, how I'm going to follow up with them. And I'm not bothering them. I'm trying to see if they have a problem that I can help with. That's all. And if you look at it as a fact-finding mission, rather than I'm trying to sell them something, then, the focus is different. Then your intention is different, because you need to discern and discover and discern whether or not they really have a problem first. Then you can see if you have a product that they need.
Do you feel like the approach is different between, let's say, a virtual product versus a physical product? Like, would the approach that I have for reaching those people, or maybe the people that I reach out to, be a little different? Let's say I'm selling a physical item for founders who have a hard time getting off the computer every night. Like, it's like a little thing that just shuts the computer down at like 12 o'clock midnight. It's just like, go home, spend time with your family. Or if I have a software that might be able to do that same exact thing, how would that approach be different for someone who doesn't like sales, isn't good at sales, and doesn't want to do sales?
Let me back up a little bit here and address what you just said before I get to physical and virtual. Everybody sells something. When you went for your job interview, did you sell yourself?
Yeah, it was
She did.
excruciating. I had a migraine at the end of it. Like, that job interview, my last job interview, like, it took a lot out of me.
And when you were a kid and you wanted mom and dad to buy you something, did you sell them on it?
No. I think it's a cultural thing to not ask for stuff.
Okay. But most kids say, hey, mom, I want you to buy these chips for me.
Mm-hmm.
And mom says no. And kid says, I really want this, mom. And we'll give a reason why he should have some chips. And either mom will still say no, or she'll say, okay, you can have some chips. But we learn to sell when we're kids. And then we get older. And then we get exposed to the negative part of sales and salespeople. And then we get conscious of exactly what selling is. And we get scared. We get cut off by that. So we say we're not good at selling, but that's not true. When a guy proposes to a woman, he's selling. I want 40 years of your life spent with me. And this is why you should. So we're selling all the time. But when we put it in the context of business to business or business to consumer, then we think, oh, we're not good. We're not good at selling. But when we believe in what we're doing and believe in what we're selling, it doesn't end up being selling. It ends up being problem solving. I want this. I want you to have this. It's going to be good for you to marry me and live your life for 40 years with me. It's going to be great. So we already know how to sell, and it's in you. It's in everyone. But For some reason, when we get into business to consumer, business to business, we get that fear and I'm not good. So if you discover that, yeah, you know what? When I usually ask for something, I get it. Hello, you're good. So you just have to recognize in yourself that I've got it already. And how do I bring it out my special way? Now, going back to the difference between a physical product and a SaaS product, virtual product, you're still selling a product. And where are your customers? You know, are they online? Are they in an office building that they got to feel it? Can they imagine themselves using it when they see it? No, we're also buying stuff, physical products online. And rarely do we, other than like say the grocery store, do we go shopping? Most of us are online. So is there a difference? I don't see a difference because every product, whether it's virtual or physical, is meant to solve a problem. And you just have to find where your customers hang out. Did that answer the question? I feel like maybe that didn't.
Yeah, no, for sure. That absolutely does. I think it's that research piece that you mentioned earlier that trips a lot of people up is like figuring out where that target audience hangs out. Because one of the interesting things to me about the learnings in the MBA program is like you're going after people on these platforms, and it's like I don't hang out there, so why would I assume that my target audience hangs out there? Like we're both on this platform, for a specific reason, and it's not really to be sold to. You just stumble upon an ad or a person that is talking about something that sounds good to you. So it's like I've learned that sometimes you just get noticed. Like you're out here doing your own thing, posting about the stuff that you're passionate about, and then the people who also care about that thing kind of notice you and they find you and start interacting with you that way. So in the past, that kind of was my approach to selling, is just sitting around waiting to be noticed. And I'm desperately trying to get out of that frame of mind right now, just because for traction and to have proof of that traction for the homework, you have to have that. And this person joined the wait list or this person expressed interest. Like you can't just sit around and wait to be noticed. So it's an ongoing thing, and it's not going to happen in 1 week. Like I think that really takes a mindset shift and like a lot of intentional action to go out there and pursue the target audience. Hard to maintain. It's tiring.
Well, yeah, but it's never going to end. If you have a successful business, you're always going to be churning it out. You're always going to be contacting potential customers. You're always going to be marketing your services. You're always going to be out there hustling. And you have to, as a business owner, find ways to reach more people and different types of people for your product. In my journey, I'm focusing on trades, but I also help professional people and professional businesses. Now, why am I doing that? Because I think there's people who are close to the vest, owner-operators who are not being served properly on how to grow their businesses. Well, I have to constantly contact new businesses every day, every week, because once I solve a problem, then okay, I need somebody else to help to keep, the momentum and keep the cash flow, so that I can keep doing this. The electric has to be paid. So yeah, I'm providing a service, they're getting a benefit, and we're happy. We're happy. So the grind is never going to stop.
For sure.
So if you want it to stop, then go get a job.
What about
Go get a
hiring
job.
people? Does hiring stop the grind?
Well, yes, of course, you when you get big enough to hire somebody and pay somebody a good salary, yeah, you definitely hire people. But until that time, it's all on you.
For
And
sure.
you want to, and you have to come to terms with that. You're a business owner. You're responsible. Nothing's happening unless you do it. So
It
if
kind of
that's not
reminds
what you
me.
want,
Yeah.
then go get a job.
It reminds me of like that hustle culture mindset of like 10x. Have you heard of like the Grant Cardone like 10x book in the 10x philosophy?
I've seen him, but I have not read up on
He's
him
he's a
or
he's a lot of places, and he's always doing a lot of things. So for example, if I had a detailing business, like I loved cleaning things, instead of doing cars, do what, 20 cars a day, you're good. Instead of that, try to 10x it. Like, instead of this type of automobile, what if I went to go clean private jets? Private jets, that would definitely pay more, so I don't have to hustle as hard and do like 20 planes a day.
Mhm,
Instead, I could just
mhm.
do maybe one private jet a week. Like, it is the same amount of effort to track down that customer, but
Yeah.
you're gunning after a 10 times more profitable customer in an
Mhm.
industry that serves high end clients also. So they are definitely going to have your money. They're not going to short you. They're not going to say that they're going to come back next week and don't come back next week. You don't run into the same type of issues as you would if you were selling a lower tier product. So I think that is one of the takeaways that I got from following Grant Cardone for almost 10 years, reading this book, having the planner, is that instead of doing like the horizontal type of growth, you try to grow as vertically as possible, as quick as possible, so you can scale to the biggest and go after that whale, if that makes sense.
Yes. However, in
Mm-hmm.
order to get the whale, you have to have experience with the little people, little companies. Mainly because uh, it's going to teach you a variety of different thoughts, problems, and methods of how to solve the problem. Now, if we use in detailing, um, you want to cut your teeth on the smaller customers so that you can refine yourself. Because if you go after the elephant and you're not refined,
Yeah.
then you blew it. And they talked to each other. So you also blew your referral network. So there's value in uh, smaller companies and problems because that helps you refine your your craft and your offerings and your solutions. You learn what works, what doesn't, and so when you move up to the bigger customers, you're on your game.
Yeah. I love that. No, that is also food for thought. Thank you so much for for saying that and putting that in my mind, because sometimes it's really easy to be like hung up on status in that kind of way, like, oh, the large client, the glamour, the glitter, the status, the shiny sparkly things. So the appreciation for the small customers and just showing up in smaller communities, I could definitely adopt that frame of mind. It's a lot of
Well,
sense.
just remember that the smaller companies, um, like I said earlier, it's close to the vest. When you help a smaller company, you're helping that person pay their mortgage, pay their people, keep their lights on, feed their kids, and even if the company has employees, you're helping that company grow and keep those people employed so they can live their lives and they can progress in their lives. So there's honor in helping smaller companies. There's honor. You're making a difference, a real difference. It's not a big company with shareholders and anonymous board of directors, and not saying anything against that, but I'm saying is there's honor in helping smaller companies and medium-sized companies grow, and because you do have a real personal impact on the lives involved in that business. So yeah, it might be glittery and glamorous. Oh, I helped so and so, but I would rather have the 1,000 little resellers that I dealt with than just a few big ones, because I helped 1,000 people, 1,000 businesses, not just a couple. And that's where you make your mark. That's where you make your legacy. That's where you find your purpose, because your business and in your professional life touches people, and you want to make sure that when you touch somebody, that they walk away from you better, happier, glad they met you. And that's my philosophy.
So, what are some things that you do to stay ahead of the curve and learn more so that you can give more value to the clients that you work with? Earlier, we were talking about things like a website. You were like, oh, I had a website, but then I realized it wasn't that great. And I had to, put in some more work so that I could have that skill and I could teach that skill. What are some things that you just learned recently since joining the MBA program that you plan to, you know, give back to the clients that you work with?
Through the coursework, it's been logical and sequential. And although I know a lot, it actually told, doing the exercises told me I actually do know what I know.
Yeah.
So that gave me the confidence that, yeah, I do know that, and it's top of mind now. It's not back of my head. And one of the things that I've learned is also about pricing. See, I wasn't sure, like what people would spend for what I do, because in my prior life, I gave it away free just to sell the hardware. So I really didn't know what value the market had for what I do. So the coursework showed me that this is where people value the service. And then it also made me hone in and pick a customer. Like, who do you want to help? Oh, I can help everybody. Well, yeah, I can, but let's target somebody, a market that needs what you have and gives you focus. So now, instead of being a generalist, I can become a specialist in that industry, like say the trades. So I'm joining Facebook groups in the trades. I'm joining LinkedIn groups with the trades. I'm now with the algorithms in Facebook and LinkedIn, I'm starting to get things in my feed that show me about the trades. So it's, the information to get smarter is coming to me in that form. And then, I'm listening out there. I'm listening to people, and I'm listening to reading the problems that are being posted on these groups. And so all of that shows me the problems that the industry has and the opinions of and solutions that other people are using. So when I go to my local plumber, let's say, I can say, I've read about this, I've seen this is what other people are doing, what's your experience, what's the best of it that we can take to make the difference and grow your business.
I love that. Just really being in the trenches with your audience, your target audience.
You got to get in there. When somebody comes to you with a problem, they're fighting a battle. And you got to get in there with them and fight it with them so they don't feel like they're alone fighting the battle. Oh, like here you go. Here's this, and good luck. You want to be in the battle front lines with them and helping them become a better warrior, a better captain, lieutenant. You want to give them the skills to be able to lead that army, to be able to direct the army on the next place to go. And so that they can do it themselves. But you got to be in there with them. You got to put skin in the game because their whole body's in it. Mm-hmm. Their entire life is put in there. So if you get in there with them and you tell them, you're not alone. We're going to think this through. We're going to work together. You're going to have a sounding board. And that's what you have to do. Or else you might as well go to Amazon.
You mean like to shop or like, what do you mean?
Well, no, like to buy a book.
Okay.
If you're not going to get in there with them and help them, and this is like my consulting business, then tell them to buy a book and they can do it themselves and they can spend, $15 and good luck. But if you really do want to make a difference in somebody's life and give them that hand holding and that direction, then you got to get in the trenches. You got to fight the battle.
For sure. Sandeep, how do you feel about that? Getting in the trenches with real estate agents?
Yeah, I was thinking through, and I was just hearing this whole thing, Gina, you were telling, and when you mentioned about it's all about them, I was thinking like when I go to I have both B2B as well as B2C, where I'm targeting B2C basically, but it is very tough to get to the people and tell them hey, when you own a house, it's not just the house. You have a lot of things coming down the line. You have to be very careful about things that you're dealing at your home. Maintenances are supreme important. Sometimes you may not do that thinking that it's working, but it may not. It's going to drain your pocket slowly, and one day you will feel like, oh, it's done. Now I have to find someone to fix that. Like $100 a month or $100 a year could have saved you $100,000 maybe, But it is tough when it comes to prevention. This is what exactly our bootcamp instructor Jillian also told. Like, prevention medicine is very tough to sell because people don't realize the importance of that until they really feel they get that thing. Like you don't take flu shot, it's fine, but what if you get a flu? You know? So
Yeah.
that's where I had this B2B stuff, and I was thinking about businesses who can push this to the customers directly, maybe like a real estate agent. So they can just go there right away and tell that, with my past experience with people to whom I have sold homes, you need someone to keep watch on your maintenance stuff and periodically remind you. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a bigger trouble. So it is a tool for it.
Mhm.
And as I was thinking through, like, how can I sell this to the real estate agent? You brought a big answer there, like, it's about them. And I was thinking, like, hey, let's strike a deal. And here is the first version of my product. We are going to meet every Friday for almost like 3 months continuous in a row. And we are going to discuss how was your week with this tool.
Mhm.
So I would love to hear about that. Why don't we spend like 15 minutes every Friday and let's discuss that? That's my first version of the product, even before I release my actual product to you.
Okay.
How does that look like?
Well, so you're right. Selling prevention is very difficult because a lot of people live in the here and now. I don't have that problem today, so I'm not going to worry about it until I have to worry about it. So prevention is a hard sell. Another hard sell is savings and efficiency, because it's not something that it's not something obvious. It's like as opposed to, hey, we bought this software and we increased sales by 25%. That's out there and everybody can see it and like, oh yeah. But there's no easy way to say we saved 25% by doing this. Or in the case of prevention, we saved $10,000 by buying this $1,000 thing 5 years ago or 3 years ago. So there's no glamour in the prevention and the cost savings and efficiency space, but there's lots on the other end. So yeah, it's prevention and efficiency and cost savings are hard things to sell. But the job then becomes in painting the picture of what happens if you don't. And, forward-thinking people will see it and see the value. And today thinkers who don't prepare will not. And they're not your customer then. And there's no point in trying to convince somebody like that to see the future if they don't want to.
Yep.
You want somebody who can see your picture because you're really solving a problem. They just don't have the pain of it yet, but they will.
Yep.
So, and assurance is like that. Insurance sales is like that. This may happen. And if that happens, then you're going to be glad you did this today.
Right. You're right on spot. So, Gina, one quick question again. Some of the audiences of our podcast are people who are in between taking the decision whether they wanted to continue their 9 to 5 or move to a founder. And one thing that I have realized over this time, again, coming from a technical background, is that engineering and sales are like the two main pillars that is holding your business. So there is like on the engineering side, you have the design, architecture, code delivery, feature releases, whatever, you just go with that technical stuff. On the other side, it's like pre-marketing, what the customers are looking for, pricing, finding the competitors and marketing channels, finally getting to the customer, sitting with them, making sure the deal is done, and finally making sure they're happy with what we have sold and what they want more. So these are like the two big pillars that a founder will have to focus on. And again, these are like two extreme different entities, because engineering, you start by what you know what you're going to do, and sales, you're starting by you don't know what you're going to do, because you're like yes, I know a pain point, but how am I going to make sure this pain point is there is a valid audience to that? Where do they hang around? How can I find them? How can I kind of convince them? So a person coming from the sales side, right? And again, this is for the people who are thinking, hey, do I wanted to switch my career to a founder? So what is your best advice to them who are thinking like, hey, uh, how will I make sure the sales happens? Like you have brought up so many valid points throughout this conversation so far. So what is your one single statement for them saying like, hey, be courageous, you can do that, and this is what you have to do?
Well, I don't know if I can keep it to one
Yeah, fine.
sentence,
Go ahead.
but um, so for me, and I think a lot of people can identify. Um, I always was the one who had the ideas. Like, well, maybe we should do it this way. And when you're in an employee-employer sort of relationship, it's more of just do the job, and yeah, we'll take this under advisement. But if you're that kind of person, there's no, you're not a troublemaker. You're not a disruptor. You're thinking of better ways to do things. That's valuable. And if you continually have these, speaking up, and trying to make things better, then and then you want to be in charge of your own destiny, not wait for that 2% raise every year, and give your future to the employer and say, do what you will with me. If you want to take control of where you're going, and you're the kind that can think ahead and solve problems, then you can do this because you're already doing it. What you're not doing is you're not handling your books, and you're not handling all the sales, and you're not handling the marketing and the things that other people in the company you're with or left did. So yeah, you're going to be wearing many hats, but you will not be bored. You will not. And when there's a mindset shift in, I can work harder for me, knowing that I'm going to reach my potential. Like when you're in a job, you rarely explore the other areas of your personality and your life and your talents, because you're focused in this one little circle square. And when you're a business owner, you discover different talents in a lot of different areas and interests that you were not free to think about working the 9 to 5. So if you're ready to dream and you're ready to work really, really hard, probably harder than you've ever worked, but knowing that it's for your growth, reaching your top potential, solving problems for people that you want to solve problems for, and you have the support structure to do it, then you should.
Cool.
You don't want to look back at your life and say, I had that opportunity. Same for me. I had the opportunity, but I sat in a rocking chair and watched TV and scrolled all day. No, I don't want to look back and say I should have done it. I do it. Just do it. And it'll be hard.
Yeah.
But is it hard to show up to work 9 to 5 and have your time? You sold your time and you sold your life for that amount of time, and then be limited to just that? Invest in yourself. Invest in your future. And also remember who's looking at you. Your kids, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, your brothers and sisters, your parents. They're watching you be brave and courageous. And your example will leave an impression on them, especially the younger ones, that even with your obstacles, you took a chance. You were brave and courageous. And therefore, maybe I can be too. So if you remember, it's not just you, it's people watching you. And, what message are you telling them?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, one small courage decision won't hurt a lot, but give it a try. Again, coming to the sales itself, right, Gina? You mentioned, yes, you have to do the cold outreach, you have to talk to people. I was kind of doing this throughout, the initial days of this MBA. One thing that I realized was like I was trying to call people, and they know like it's a sales call. They kind of, say like, "Hey, I'm not interested at this point. I wish you a good day," and the deal is done. I tried to send emails, no response. I tried to do DMs, no response. Then I stopped by some of the businesses and asked for their time. That's when the real difference started coming in. People started giving me time when they validated that this guy exists.
When I started in sales back in, I want to say, in the 80s, late 80s, the first sales job I had, I drove around in a car, parked it, and walked into a business. And, hello, my name's Gina, and I'm with, TV40, and I'm selling ads for TV time, advertisement times. And I was scared to death. I was like, I don't want to bother these people. They're in the middle of doing their work. They don't want someone like me walking in. But I had to. It forced me. Because if I didn't, then I wasn't selling anything. And if I wasn't selling anything, I wasn't making any money. And if I wasn't making any money, I wasn't paying the rent. So you got to do it. And then eating alone was the first time that I really had the experience of being in my workday and traveling around and then going to a restaurant and eating alone. It sounds maybe like a silly thing, but it was the first. And once you start doing it and realizing, some people are going to reject you and some people are not. And once you start having and getting used to it, it doesn't get harder, it gets easier. And you realize you're not dead, you're not in the hospital, no one attacked you, and you didn't make a fool of yourself, and you actually had some success. So overcoming your fears, what I mean about courageous, overcoming your fears, facing it and saying, even though I'm scared, I'm doing it scared. But I'm still doing it. And once you do it scared and you see there's not that disaster that you thought you might get, then it gets easier. And then you realize, I'm not here selling something you don't need. I'm trying to solve a problem. Then I just want to see if you got it and if what I can do can help you. And then it gets easier. But there's always that call reluctance, always that little one like, never goes away. But in a way, you know what? I think that's a good thing, thinking of it now, in that it keeps you in check. It keeps you, I think it indicates that you're really genuine in your heart and not just a snake out there. I think snakes don't have any kind of conscious. But I think it tells you, if you do have that feeling, that you're real, you're a genuine person and you truly want to help.
That's true. And on that note, I should also shout out to Njeri, because she's the one who forced me to go and talk to the first person. See what it does. So I still remember that conversation. And this whole podcast is like a byproduct of that, So
Yeah.
yeah, so big shout out to her, and I'm just taking this opportunity. And again, sales is I don't want to make others feel trouble if they don't learn sales, but sales is something it's because I do have this engineering background. For me to build an app, it's easy.
Mhm.
But from the sales part, it is kind of bit tough for me. So I always have this plan B for every plan A. So in case if people were not allowing me or giving me time, even if I showed up at their offices, I was thinking about looking up at Fiverr and finding out freelancers and asking them, hey, you know what? I need to have a guy who can sell this stuff. Because I realized like Elon Musk in his earlier days of SIP, the product SIP, he used to have a sales team who was working for the commission, so they can focus. He and his brother can focus on building the app and leverage the sales folks to do the sales for them.
Well, also remember, you being the engineer, you have intimate knowledge of what you've built. You know better than anyone what it's supposed to do and how it works. So you may need somebody to kind of go and open the door
program and all the
for
coaching.
you, but most people
And the
want to
training, all
talk
those different
to
things.
the person who can answer the questions and identify with the pain you're trying to solve. So you're still valuable on the sales, leg of it, because you're actually the most valuable salesperson in the business because of you're the creator.
Yeah.
So as long as you have it in your mind that what you created helps people, and here's an open door, and I'm going to tell you why I created it and how it's going to help you, that's the best sales. That's the best sales pitch.
True. And few more things there, right? So my language, maybe if you have seen me like 6 years before, I'll be telling all these Javas and Pythons, like the programming languages. So if you ask me like what is this solution, it's all Javas and Pythons. But eventually I started transitioning from there to telling like, hey, this is what it does. Forget about Java, forget about Python. This is what it does. Now tell me if this is helpful for you. In very simple, plain English, this is what it does. Because that transition helped me to connect with a lot more people who are not like, there are technical folks for sure, yes, but there are non-technical folks who can understand, okay, what is this guy bringing to the table,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they gotta know what they're buying and why they're buying it. What is it going to solve my problem? Why part with the money? It's not going to do what I want. But you're right. You have to be able to translate. It's like speaking another language. You're great at this language, but now you've got to figure out how to speak in that language. And, so that's the translation, is to be able to speak the customer's language.
Did I lose you guys?
Is where they want it, see that they need it, and you're very happy to help them. Very happy.
I'm excited. Yeah, I think we are almost.
Oh,
Yeah, no, we are almost at time. So I have one final question. If you were to give any piece of advice to someone that does not know that they're supposed to be an entrepreneur or in a trade or join an MBA program, someone that's just like struggling out there and they haven't found their thing yet, what's one piece of advice you'd give to that person?
well, know your personality type.
Mm-hmm.
And be able to accept your weaknesses, and because it's not an indictment, and be able to recognize your strengths and work to build those things. Now, I'm a good proponent of a website called 16personalities.com. I direct everybody to go there. And that's essentially the Myers-Briggs personality type. And then there is a book, and I know there's other websites about Do What You Are. I worked with the authors back in the early 90s when that book first came out. It's by Paul Teeger and Barbara Barron Teeger. And essentially it takes the Myers-Briggs and translates that into careers that people with your personality type succeed in and why. So if you're looking for that direction, if you're looking for that validation of who you are and what is naturally strong for you and where your interests are, that will start you on the path to accepting yourself for who you are and not keep wishing you were something else. And 2 is then appreciating who you are and go after something that makes you happy. It gives you permission. If I wanted to be a brain surgeon, there'd be a lot of dead people around because I don't have the natural inclination for doing that kind of work. So I'm not going to waste my life trying to do what that doesn't come naturally to me. Mm. So it gives you permission to be okay with who you are and go after the things that you're naturally good at. And you will then set yourself up for a path of happiness. You're going to have frustrations, but you're not going to have the kind of frustration of failure. You're going to find success, and then you can keep growing and growing and growing and moving in the direction of where you want to go in your life. But yeah, Myers-Briggs and Do What You Are.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us here on the MBA Founder Podcast. I deeply appreciate you giving us your time. You drop so much knowledge. Can you let people know where to find you if they want to find you on the internet, reach out to you for coaching, or even inside of our community that we have at school?
You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Gina Sambuco Garisto. My website is M as in Mary, B as in Barbara, S as in Sam, of OF, PA as in Pennsylvania, LLC.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And, I'll talk to anybody.